come to the Philippines about 2014 after 25-year marriage, and pretty down when I came here. My wife of 25 years had abandoned me, and I was living in a little apartment in Granite Falls, Washington. And I was online and just looking at different sites and paid sites, and just got on to Craigslist and was looking at ads on Craigslist, and come across a couple, 3, 4, 5 gal on there, had some ads on there, one in Cebu, Manila, San Jose, Bagao, and started talking to a couple of gals and wanted to know if I could send money to the grandmom. The grandmom's in the hospital and she's about dead, and we need to pay the hospital bill, $300-400. The other gal talked to her. She needed money for her sister's kid to go to private school. The kid was having a hard time in regular school, so they wanted to take the kid out and put the kid in private school. Talked to this gal, Amy, and she was so poor and cleaned nails for a living, and she was sitting in the schoolyard with a bunch of teachers around cleaning nails, and started talking to her every day. I don't know, maybe a couple months went by. Pretty nice gal. 27, I think, at the time. Amy was going to turn 28, I think. When I wasn't 50 yet. And I thought, well, Amy's the only girl that said, well, why don't you just come over here to the Philippines, and then if you don't like me or you don't like it here, you just go back home, and then you can stay here on a visa 21 days. So I never been out of the country of the United States. Well, I've been to Mexico and stuff like that, and I never went anywhere by myself, ever. So I thought, holy smoke, I gotta make a flight there, and I didn't realize it was 15-hour flight, and had my passport and got all that done, and told Amy, well, I got my passport and everything, and she said, okay, well, you just tell me when you're coming and I'll meet you at the airport. Well, I got to back up because Amy had went over to Taiwan, and I was going to fly into Taiwan, but they wouldn't allow her to have visitors. So I said, look, you need to get out of there and go back to the Philippines, because I can't get into see you, because that Taiwan, your employer won't allow you to have visitors. So I said, you need to get out of there and go back home. And she said, well, I got a contract. And I said, well, doesn't matter, you have to break the contract. And she said, well, then they want money to break the contract. And I asked how all that worked. Well, her employer said, no, that's scam, they tried to take your money, that's scam. long story short, I paid a hefty amount, 20,000, and Amy got a ticket and she flew into Manila, and I'm flying, and I'm gonna get a flight out, and I'll be there the next following day. So I set up everything at the hotel. I set up everything, get her some money so she could get from the hotel to the airport. And so she went and checked into the room, and I'm flying, and I get to Narita, Japan, and I talked to Amy, and she's there at the hotel with her friend, and don't worry, she said, I'll be here, don't worry, don't worry. And all I could do was worry, because I wasn't I've always been in this 25-year relationship with my ex-wife, and I never thought I would ever leave the United States. And I mean, maybe to visit a little bit here in the Philippines, but so Amy's checked into the motel, and I'm flying, I'm in Japan, and I talked to her there, and she said that, don't worry, I'll meet you at the airport, and airport's big. And I said, well, I don't know, how am I going to find you then? Well, oh, you got interrupted, you got to pause, hold on. This interview will be conducted at a later date and time. We'll have to start over because we were so rudely interrupted by my beautiful, darling wife. So we'll start over where we're in Japano, and the flight must go on to Manila for 4 hours. So stay tuned for part 2 of flying to Manila.